had a bunch of requests to repost this interview with Mr. Bryon Russell on YouTube, and I'm going to do that. I really enjoyed talking to these athletes. Just did an interview with Terry Metcalf last night, the NFL great. Also, guys like Mitch Richmond, the boxer Ishe Smith, the boxer Mean Joe Green, Omar Henry, Joe Martinez, the ring announcer. We've talked a lot of indie wrestling promotions and things of that nature. We had a former WWE story writer on the podcast before. I like doing these interviews, and this one was with Mr. Bryon Russell. It was very interesting because for two NBA finals to watch my favorite team and my favorite player of all time, Michael Jordan, one of the battles in the war that was the NBA Finals, and I know I'm using military hyperbole here, but one of the battles in the overall war was watching Michael Jordan try to circumvent the defense and deal with the defense of Bryon Russell, who's always a very solid defender. So those of you who didn't hear this originally, this is an interview that I conducted on July 22nd, 2011, so it's a little dated, but there's some real good stuff in here, so for those of you who haven't heard it yet, I hope you enjoy it. So I'll stop going on and let you hear the interview.
Is this Bryon Russell?
This sure is.
Hey, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing?
First and foremost, man, I want to say thank you for doing this on such a whim's notice, and we truly appreciate it.
Oh, it's all good, especially when it comes to basketball.
Yeah, that's this. We cover all sports here, but boxing and basketball is the one we get the most passion back from the fans on. So let's get right into it.
YouTubers, this is not part of the interview. I just wanted to edit this in here and let you know. For the first 15-20 minutes of the interview, we talked about the potential NBA lockout at the time. I think that's so dated that I'm not going to include it in this YouTube video. So we'll go from here.
I want to get into a couple things about you, but I also want to ask you about a current event that basically a current event prior to the lockout that I'm a little curious on what your take on it is, because we've heard other NBA greats talk about it. What is your take on the whole LeBron James Miami decision, that whole media frenzy deal? What is your take on that?
I've been a huge LeBron fan since high school. I mean, like I said, I'm a basketball junkie, and to me, he did it the right way, because there's nothing under his contract that says I have to tell you I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Now, people don't understand. Keep in mind now, when the owner or GM decides to trade a player, they don't tell us anything. You can get traded right before you go out on the court. For example, Indiana, it was Dallas and Chicago. One of the guys was out on court shooting around right before the game, and Rick had to go out there and tell him, hey, we traded you or we cut you. This man was ready to work out and play at 7:30 at night, and he got the axe at 6 o'clock. But was that bad? No, people say that's just the business. So the business is LeBron, he paid his dues in Cleveland. He worked out. He did everything he could to win down there. And, he was ready to move on to something new. So I can't fault a man for doing that. That's just like telling you, okay, you've been doing your podcast or you've been doing this for 13 years. Okay, now you got your big break to go to the radio. Do you answer to anybody and say, okay, well, I'm doing this, or you can go public and do it? I don't see anything wrong with that in any job. If I'm getting offered better or I'm going around better talent. Back then, would it had happened in our days? No. But you gotta change with time. The league is pushing that way, and these are our celebrities, and these are our top players. He should be able to do whatever he want to do, and I don't think it's bad at all. I mean, would I had went on TV and did the one where they all was on stage in Miami? I wouldn't have done that, but that's them. I mean, I would have done the thing about donating all the money to the Boys and Girls Club. I thought that was a great idea. He is the NBA right now. LeBron is the man. So the man decided to do that, so be it.
And you bring up a good point, and I think we're in 100% agreement with you. This show we use alternative thinking. We don't let, the Skip Baylesses of the world shape our thoughts for us. But, the thing was, when you think about it, Bryon, the coverage leading up to his decision was just as intense, and what was he going to do, go out and tell the mailman? Hey, I decided, I'm going to Miami. And I think that's been blown out of proportion. Okay, I want to ask you a personal question. How did it feel? Because I know you got your number retired at your alma mater. I mean, everyone always talks glowingly about their college experience as basketball players. What was that like for you? I mean, take us through your emotions.
I've had my high school jersey retired, so I was pretty much ready for the next level. And when I got to college, and they've been wanting to do it for a while, but I've been pushing it off, especially when I was playing. So I finally found the time to get and do it. And, man, that was one of the happiest moments. It was during a big game, a TV game that they had on Fox. And the warm crowd, they opened arms to me, and they remembered, and all the good 4 years I had there, everyone appreciated it and told me they'll do anything for me, whatever I need to do. But to have your number retired at the collegiate level says that you was a great player at that school. And, hey, I loved every minute of it. I enjoyed it. My kids enjoyed it. My wife was there. Good, close family and friends was there. And we all celebrated Bryon Russell Day.
That's awesome, man. I remember when I heard about it, I was like, when MJ was playing, God bless MJ, he's widely considered one of the greatest ever, if not the greatest ever by most people, but I feel a lot of people were overshadowed during his career, unfortunately. But when you look back, okay, you were considered, and in my opinion you were, one of the elite defenders in the league. If you could just briefly, in 1994 they tried to curtail hand checking a bit, and then I believe it was 2004 they really went at it hard, and we saw the explosion of the perimeter player in the 2005-2006 season. And this is not to take anything away from anyone now, but when you look at the way the game has changed, and it's not as physical as it used to be, especially in the late 80s and early 90s, what type of adjustment would you have to make if you were coming into the league now rather than coming into the league in the 90s as a perimeter defender with these new rules?
Well, first of all, you better not hand check. You better practice doing defense with your hands behind your back so you can understand that there is no touching. I think the game has gotten a little soft and has gotten away from defense. When they took that rule out, I believe scoring only went up 1 point from not hand checking. So it's not a big factor, but if you take away the physical part of the game, only let the physical happen in the playoffs, then to me you're making it an all offensive game. So what I tell kids now, work on your offense, because offense will get you paid nowadays. But, I mean, to me, defense got me paid. Defense got me where I was in the NBA and got me stuck around for 13 years because I played defense. And nowadays people really don't take pride in defense. And that's, to me, one of the best parts of the game. So I don't understand, how can you have an all-defensive team by just having block shots? I mean, who's going to go out and make that big stop in the fourth quarter? We don't know, because you can't touch nobody. I mean, you just hope that somebody misses a shot. But I think they need to bring the physical back to the game.
Yeah, it's more about position and contesting shots now. You're right. It's not, physical detainment as much as it used to be. Now, when you said the 1 point difference, you're talking team points per game?
Yeah. I mean, I guess they did a survey on it that once they took the hand checking out of the game, that same year, once the season was over, I guess scoring went up 1 1 point higher than it was with the hand checking rule. So, I mean, what's the difference, 1 point a game? So if instead of me averaging 89, I average 90, what's the difference? I don't get it.
Well, that's a good point in the overall aspect, but personally, from my point of view, and I really want to hear yours, I saw a big shift in the way teams approach the game now. After that rule change, it seemed to become more of a perimeter-oriented game where you've got a higher percentage of perimeter players leading their teams in scoring. And, you know, you played with arguably the greatest power forward of all time in Karl Malone. So, you know, what do you think that rules change did as far as just opening it up for the perimeter players? You already discussed the physicality, but did you see that same shift in the way teams approach the game now?
Well, it really didn't open it up for perimeter players. It opened it up for athletes. If you're a super athlete, if you're one of those who can get to the basket, I mean, and get to the free throw line, that's awesome. That's unbelievable. But for jump shooters, you're going to get your shot no matter what. Somebody penetrate kick, that's a jump shot. There's nothing physical about that, but if, like, you're a good one-on-one player, these rules right now is for you. But then, you know, with all of those great one-on-one players, who's smart enough to think the game through? Because all you're thinking about is, okay, I'm a boom, 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 get between legs, go through, boom, boom, foul, dunk on somebody. Where's the thought process in the game? Where's somebody who can come out, okay, let's go in the post, go inside, outside first before we go drive to the basket? How can you establish one of your great players when it's not meant for a great player other than someone who's great off the ball handling or great attacking the basket? And then plus you bring the zone. I mean, a zone in the NBA, who would have ever thought that? I'm thinking that's killing the game, a zone. I mean, that is the worst play in NBA basketball. You can't put in college rules to a professional game. That's the highest level of basketball. You want to put a zone in that's never been in before? I mean, is it working? Is it helping teams? If you can't shoot the ball, play the zone the whole game. I mean, it's great, but play man up. I mean, this is the highest sport of basketball that you can ever play. And you want to see zones? I want to see somebody go in and bump somebody. I mean, you barely touch somebody nowadays. It's a flagrant foul. That's not basketball.
It's amazing, though, because the talent is so great in the NBA. They really didn't need to do that, Bryon. We both know that. But
I agree.
It's just unbelievable. I sense the frustration in your voice, and that's exactly the way we felt when they did it, because, you went head-to-head with a guy in Michael Jordan who was viewed as one of the greater competitors in NBA history, and your competitive nature showed through. And I think a lot of people who are going to hear this are going to want to know, what went through your mindset? I mean, you obviously had a lot of confidence in yourself, and we saw, there were some games where you held him to a real low shooting percentage. So when you were gearing up to go play MJ, what did Bryon Russell think about heading into that game?
My first thought was, thank goodness I can hand check, because if they had these rules now, for him, he averaged 60. Easy. And,
wow.
And I mean, it's the truth. I mean, he averaged 35 with Detroit knocking him around. Just imagine if you couldn't touch him. This man was incredible. I mean, this man paved the way for the younger guys. I mean, now you got everybody doing the push-off, the MJ push-off. Everybody's doing that. He started that. I mean, that to me is the greatest no call of basketball. I mean, I wouldn't have rather had it happen to a better guy from the best player that ever played on the planet. I mean, would you have made that call? A couple referees said that. No, you wouldn't, because a couple referees said they would have, but they probably would have lost their job.
Okay, in that context, yeah.
I mean, but he is the one who made this possible for all these younger guys.
Yeah.
So
and then you look at guys like Dr. J and Larry Bird and Magic, and really Larry and Magic set the stage for him, and it's unfortunate that those guys get lost in the shuffle too.
Yeah. And so, you got everybody carrying. Somebody's got to carry the torch, but somebody also got to have that toughness to do what he did. I mean, Kobe was the next closest thing. Now it's going to be LeBron. And, it comes around every maybe 7 to 10 years or so. You get that phenomenal athlete that's going to be Mr. NBA. It's not going. You're going to get your average players that's going to be good, but there's always going to be that one every 7 to 10 years that's going to be a beast. And he's going to be able to do whatever he want to do because of his natural born ability and how he played the game of basketball.
Yeah, and one thing I've always respected about you the most, Bryon, is because I always look at everyone. I'm not one of those superstar fans, When I looked at the way you were so competitive, but who was the guy in practice on? I want to. Throughout the course of your career, maybe not just on the Jazz teams, but who was the one guy in practice that you saw that you said, man, this guy doesn't even give an inch in practice?
It probably was me. I mean, this is how I was taught all the way from high school with my high school coach, Scott K. I mean, we were a defensive team. We eat, sleep, drink, and breathe defense. So I'm already one up on some players that's all offense. I respected everybody, but I didn't care who he was. I was going to go out there and do what I'm supposed to do. If I do my job, it's going to be easier for my team. And I guarded the best player on every team, and I always took pride in guarding and trying to stop somebody. I wish I would have made the all defensive team, but I'm in the era with the Scottie Pippens, the Michael Jordans, the Karl Malones, the David Robinsons, the Akeem Olajuwon. Those are all greats, and to have my name mentioned even on the ballot with them was good enough for me. But I took extreme pride in playing defense.
There's someone in the league right now, Bryon, that reminds me. It's like, for me personally, as a fan and an observer of the game, it's a parallel to the respect or lack of respect you got defensively by these awards that were given out. Or maybe it was, like you said, just too much competition. But I wonder if you agree, or if you agree that this guy's a really good defender. John Salmon's in Milwaukee. The way that guy plays defense, I watch him. He's lengthy. He's real good at contesting shots. Obviously, like we talked about, he's not allowed to get as physical as you guys were. But when you look at the NBA now, who's the player out there that reminds you of you the most? Maybe there's none.
Well, I see one person to me that plays both sides of the basketball. I wish he didn't do it as much because it takes away from his offense ability. But he takes pride in defense. But if he got to guard the best player and come out and be the best player, it's tough. And I'm gonna say, I love watching LeBron play defense because he takes pride in it. But then my thing is, you can't be the best player in the NBA and try to be the best defender. It's not going to happen. You're going to kill yourself. Because I've never seen Michael Jordan, the best player in the game, be the best defender on their team. Not a chance. I mean, you had Ron Harper, who was 10 times better defender. Never got the recognition as MJ, but to me, Ron Harper was guarding great players. Scottie Pippen was their best defender, period. He guarded 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, just like I did. But your premier offensive player cannot be your premier defensive player. And I think that kind of hurt Miami also in the finals because he had to guard the Jason Terrys, all the quick players, and he exerted a lot of energy. But that's who I see that plays defense hard.
Okay, and I think that's definitely a fair assessment because we saw what he did against Derrick Rose. And for him, and as you said, playing out of position defensively, he shut Derrick Rose down in the fourth quarter. And I'm a Bulls fan. And I thought it was absolutely incredible what he did with Derrick Rose. And I think that kind of gets blown over a little bit. Oh, yeah, LeBron's a good defender. But, then you get all the criticism and the basically, what do you think of the sports media today? Because I think the coverage of the NBA, and excuse my French, I think it sucks for the most part.
I mean, the media is gonna be what they're gonna be, man. I mean, did I have a problem with them? No. I mean, but they tend to mess with people who, like with LeBron, they mess with him. But people ain't gonna never say the good about him. Everybody's always gonna say the negative. I mean, like, they assembled a team this year, so they got to the finals. People were sweating, but the minute they lost, oh yeah, that's what LeBron get. And that's the first year of a team that they assemble. I guarantee you they're gonna win championships. And then what people gonna say? Well, he didn't win it his first year, but yeah, he won it his second and third year. So what are you saying? But I mean, the media is gonna feed off, because that's what our country do nowadays. We feed off all the negative vibes. We don't take nothing good and put a good twist on it. We always put that bad twist on things. But I mean, he handled himself well. He handled all the critics well, and he did what he had to do. I mean, he's just a normal human being, just like everybody else.
Yeah, he is. And if you think about even the Lakers, after Shaq, however you want to describe the exit, run out, or left, whatever, after he wasn't on the roster, the Lakers brought in Pau Gasol. Okay, they get to the NBA Finals. They didn't win their first year. They had to bring in some pieces around the puzzle there to make that work. But you didn't see that type of criticism, and it's unfortunate, because it doesn't seem fair the way certain players get bashed in the media today. I mean, it really is unfortunate. So I've got another co-host who chimed in, Bryon. We're not going to keep you much longer. You're being very kind with your time. And then I got another guy who you're going to laugh at what he does impressions. But Joseph, welcome to the show, buddy. Quick question for Bryon Russell.
Your Twitter time, and obviously watched a lot of your career. So first off, thanks a lot for coming on the show, man.
Oh, it's all good, man. It's good. I'm glad y'all just up and put it together for me. That's all good.
Oh, without a doubt. And I missed the first part of the interview. I called in, so I don't want to repeat any questions. But I guess trying to stay away from something you might have been asked. You talked about the Miami Heat, and you think they, will end up winning some titles with this core unit that they have. Let's talk about next year. Obviously, looks like there's going to be some lockout issues, some games missed, hopefully not the whole season. But let's say there is a season. Who do you see as, coming out champions next year?
Well, I mean, I'm a firm believer you have to beat the champion in order to become the champion. I got to ride with Dallas, but coming out of the West. But, I mean, coming out of the East, I'm going to take Miami. Mm-hmm. But I think Chicago going to be right there on their tail. But I'm going to ride with them. So, I mean, you have to beat the Dallas Mavericks in order for me to say somebody else is going to win it. I mean, that's out of respect of the game and out of respect of being a champion. You can't just write off a champion without even seeing the whole season next year.
All right, well, okay, so let me ask this then. If you're thinking the Dallas Mavericks are going to come out of the West, do you think the days of Kobe Bryant winning championships are behind us, or do you think Kobe's still got a chance to win some more hardware?
See, that's one thing I don't know. I mean, you can't never knock Kobe, because he, to me, is still the best in the league right now. But they have to go through the Dallas Mavericks to win, and we won't know if we don't have a season. But as far as right now, they have to beat Dallas in order for me to say the Lakers are gonna win.
Right. And a question I got for you to piggyback on that, and then we're going to bring on our we've got a Frank Caliendo type character on this show. You're going to get a good kick out of this. But you played with Karl Malone, and you obviously know the respect I have for you, but also so much respect for a guy like Malone and guys like Barkley, and the unnecessary criticism they take because their teams didn't win championships. Because, I understand, it's the ultimate goal in team basketball to win a championship. But isn't a great player just a great player? And don't you think it's time that people stop? A lot of these judgmental opinions on players are based solely on team success. And you look at a team like your Utah Jazz, who was, you guys had an incredible team. Stockton, yourself, Hornacek, Ostertag had his moments, and then, of course, Karl Malone and the rest of the supporting cast, and you guys just ran into the Chicago Bulls juggernaut. So how is it fair to hold, Karl Malone and these other greats, their teams not winning the ultimate prize against their legacy?
It's tough, but that doesn't determine who's a great player to me. I mean, I put Karl and Barkley as the 1 and 2 best power forwards that ever played the game. Now, you have an argument if you want to say Tim Duncan is a great power forward because he has 3 rings. I believe it's 3, maybe 4. Now, would you put him better than Karl Malone and Charles Barkley because he got more hardware? I wouldn't, because the time and eras always change. Tim Duncan came in right around the tail end of Malone's career, and Barkley, I don't think he was even playing, maybe 1 or 2 years. But could Tim Duncan have played that finesse ball back then? I don't know. But to me, Tim Duncan was the best, most fundamental power forward in the game, and he was good at what he did. And you had 2 powerful, Malone and Barkley, that was just power. They defined what power forward was because they punished you more than you punished them, or they always hit you first. And Tim Duncan was more of a finesse, but he's up there too. My top 3, those are my top 3. Then Malone and Barkley is 1 and 2.
I like where you went with that. That's about what I would expect out of a knowledgeable basketball man like yourself. So, all right, brace yourself. We've got Marv Albert on the line. What's up, Marv?
Hi, how are you guys?
Why don't you say hello to Mr. Bryon Russell?
Byron, how are you? This is Marv Albert along with Steve Kerr, Aldazar, Mike Frichello, here to call the NBA Finals, the Chicago Bulls and the Utah Jazz.
He's pretty good,
Byron.
Come on, Marv Albert. You know my name. You keep calling me Byron. Marv Albert knows my name.
Bryon Russell is one of the greatest defenders in NBA history, but unfortunately, we do not see a lot of these because of a channel like ESPN. So, but you were truly an inspiration to many NBA basketball players in the league.
I tried my best, Marv. I tried my best.
All right, guys, let's cut them loose. You were very judicious with your time, and Bryon, we're gonna have to have you back, man. It was a great interview.
Hey, man, it was fun, man. I mean, I liked it. It was good, man. I liked the topic and the way we talked. It was fun.
One more thing for Bryon Russell. Here's Bryon Russell with a facial on Michael Jordan. Yes, it counts. I'm a foul.
You ain't right, Marv. You ain't right.
Hey, Marv, you all right with me, man?
Byron, man, you're my man. Nice talking to you, bro.
All right, man. Y'all be good.
You too.
All right, Bryon. I'll be in touch with you. We'll do this again.
Okay.
All right, take it easy.